Guys, today we're going to talk about some spine-chilling incidents that happened in Bhopal. This event was so deadly that it took the lives of around 4,000 people in just one night. That night, everyone was fast asleep, but when morning came, the whole city had turned into a nightmare. There was a poison so deadly that if a person took just 2 breaths of it, death was certain. To give you an idea of how dangerous this poison was, think about the coronavirus. People infected with COVID-19 died in about 5 to 6 days. But this gas was so lethal that people died within 10 minutes of exposure. This incident is still considered the most horrifying in India's history, one of the most tragic events ever. Even after 41 years, every child born there is disabled because of that incident. Some are blind, some limp, and some die before they're even born. So friends, today let's talk about the most heartbreaking event in Bhopal. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to the channel. It's free for you, but it really helps us out. Now, let's get started. This story begins in Bhopal, a peaceful city nestled in the heart of India under the sun. A city where people are hardworking. After a long day of running around, they sleep peacefully at night. But that peaceful sleep turned out to be their last. The year was 1984. The date was December 2nd. The weather was cold. The air had a chill in it, but that cold night carried something else too. An invisible poison, a toxin that was about to seep into the lungs of millions. Slowly but surely, it became a death sentence. Right in the heart of Bhopal, north of the old city, there was an American company, a pesticide factory called Union Carbide India Limited. The company claimed that the factory was supposed to improve the country's agricultural future. It was meant to help farmers and save crops. But hidden behind it was a chemical called methyl isocyanate, or mic. It was a gas that was colorless and odorless. Yet, just one breath could burn a person's lungs. Inside the factory, there were 3 big tanks storing mic. Each tank held thousands of liters of this poisonous gas. And the safety systems installed there were just for show. They hadn't been maintained for years. The safety equipment was turned off, and most importantly, the company had already removed the refrigeration system that kept the tank cool to cut costs. Around 11:30 at night, some workers noticed some unusual activity. The pressure in tank number 610 suddenly started rising rapidly. They suspected water might have gotten into the tank. If that happened, it was basically a death sentence. When mic comes into contact with water, it triggers a massive chemical reaction inside. It generates intense heat, and the gas expands so quickly that no wall can hold it back. That's exactly what happened. The factory's safety valve. They tried to open it, but by then it was way too late. The tank's temperature had shot up to 200 degrees Celsius. The pressure kept rising, and then, around midnight, there was this terrible explosion-like noise. A cloud of poisonous mic gas rose from the tank and drifted with the wind toward the city. No one could see or recognize the gas, but as soon as it was breathed in, it started burning people from the inside. Within minutes, the whole neighborhood was coughing, vomiting, and their eyes were watering and burning. People panicked and started running, but no one really knew what was happening. So, what happened? This tragedy started showing its true, deadly effects. The first hit was on the areas near the factory: Jayaprakash Nagar, Barkhedi, Chola Road, Arjun Nagar, Station Road. People sleeping in their homes there suddenly woke up coughing. Some kids cried trying to breathe, then fell silent because their breath stopped. Fear began spreading in the inner parts of the city. People thought maybe a small fire broke out in some factory, or there was a minor gas leak. But this gas wasn't normal. Mic gas doesn't come slowly like that. She came like a storm, burning every lung, every eye, every inch of skin. People started running, some on bikes, some in rickshaws, some on foot. The whole city was caught up in one question: was this really life or the face of hell? When the poison spread through the air that night, no one got a warning, no sign at all. Methyl isocyanate gas leaked from Union Carbide's tank number 610 and spread like an invisible death in the dark. When people woke up, it wasn't just their eyes that were burning, their lungs had already given up. Their throats were parched and his body was shaking. Before anyone could understand what was happening, the poison had already seeped into their blood through their breaths. People broke down doors and ran for their lives. Some grabbed their kids and sprinted, some carried their sick mothers on their backs. Some dragged their wives through the alleys, those with cars sped off quickly. A few rich folks took off with their families inside their locked cars. Everyone shut their windows and doors tight, knowing the danger was outside. Meanwhile, thousands of poor people who had nothing started fleeing on foot, bicycles, rickshaws, or packed into tractors. Thousands, the crowd rushed straight towards Bhopal railway station. Maybe they thought they could get out of the city by train. But little did they know, the railway had already been ordered not to stop any trains at this station. The trains passing through were speeding by, not stopping or taking anyone along. And those who saw the trains go by had their hopes crushed. But amidst all this chaos, some police officers risked their lives trying to help the unconscious people who had fallen at the station. Someone's breath. No one was safe. They kept loading people into autos, ambulances, rickshaws, and rushed them to the hospital. But in the end, some of the cops themselves fell victim to this poison. Their breaths kept going for a while, then faltered and finally stopped. No one could really count how many died that night in Bhopal. Without telling anyone, without calling anyone, and by the time the counting started the next morning, the bodies weren't being counted, they were being thrown away. Back then, Bhopal's population was around 8,500, and in this horrific disaster, about 5,300 people were exposed to the gas. Now, it's important to understand this clearly. Not all of these people died immediately, but they all fought a long battle against death. According to doctors, reports, and years of testimony, it's estimated that over 25,000 people have died because of this poison till now. Some lost their eyesight forever. There was even someone, what no one has been able to say till now. Some faces turned pale with shock. Some children were born disabled from the start. Many pregnant women lost their babies, or their babies died right after birth. Among the children who survived, many were malnourished. Some had weak legs, some couldn't walk, some couldn't see. Even today, the survivors of this disaster live in different parts of India. Some are still in Bhopal, some in villages. Every breath they take is still weighed down by the poison of that one night. The hospitals were like war zones. Hamidia, Kamla Nehru, and JP hospitals. All the gates were broken down. People weren't there for medicine, just to catch a breath. In just a few hours, over 4,000 people filled up the hospitals. Doctors lost count. Who was alive? Who had died? No one could tell. So what did they do? They started numbering the bodies. No one asked for names. They just stacked one body on top of another. The morgues ran out of space. The crematoriums ran out of wood. In the end, mass pyres were lit out in open fields. And yeah, after seeing all this, many said even the coronavirus wasn't this deadly. Because there, it used to take people 5 to 6 days to die. But here, whole families were wiped out in just 3 hours. Those who survived are still paying the price for that one night of poison, and those who didn't survive. There's no picture, no story, just a number, ashes, and silence. And right in the middle of that silence stands the chimney of the Union Carbide factory, quiet and still. No regret, no warning, just a stone structure soaked in the stench of death. Why did the Bhopal gas tragedy happen? The answer is one word: negligence. But this negligence wasn't just a simple mistake, it was a deliberate choice. The system was so messed up that profits were valued more than human lives. In this Union Carbide factory, a highly dangerous chemical called methyl isocyanate, or mic, was used. If this gas even comes into contact with a little water, it generates intense heat and fumes. That's exactly what happened that night. Water accidentally got into the tank containing mic. This chemical reaction caused extreme heat and pressure, and then the toxic gas escaped through the pipelines, and spread into the city's air. Once smog enters the human body, it burns the eyes, clogs the lungs, and it starts blocking the windpipe. This gas enters the bloodstream and completely shuts down the internal organs. That's why people died within just a few hours without any injury or bleeding. The effect of this gas was so fast that anyone who inhaled it lost consciousness within minutes. Many people died in their sleep. Some watched their families writhe in pain right in front of their eyes, and others collapsed and died while running on the street. The scariest part of this tragedy was that it wasn't just a one-night thing. The amount of gas was so high that the effects were felt for weeks. The soil, water, and air had all become poisonous, and this poison slowly spread through people's bodies over months and years. The accident happened just once, but its punishment was borne by many generations. Now, let's talk about the owner of this factory. Warren Anderson was the chairman of Union Carbide. 2 days after the accident, he came to India and was arrested for a few hours. But then he was sent back to America on a government plane, and he never returned. The Indian government tried to bring him back from the US, but America he refused. Warren Anderson died in the US in 2014 without ever spending a day in jail or appearing in court. Now, about the compensation. Union Carbide gave the Indian government a total of $470 million, roughly 7.15 billion rupees, for the people killed and affected in this tragedy. But when this money was divided among millions, most people got only between 25,000 to 50,000, which wasn't even enough to cover treatment costs. Many families still haven't received any compensation to this day. Now, talking about the current situation, the factory is still the same. She's standing there, broken glass, but lying on poison-filled ground. Even today, over 300 tons of toxic waste are left out in the open. When it rains, it seeps into the ground, contaminating the water. The groundwater there is still not safe to drink. Kids are still being born with disabilities. Women are losing their babies before birth, and the older generation still carries the same pain in their eyes as they did that night in 1984. Dow Chemicals, which later bought Union Carbide, flat out denied any responsibility for cleanup or compensation. Even the Indian government hasn't been able to settle this yet. Either completely demolish the factory or clean up the land. That's why the toxic site in Bhopal is still an open wound today. It hasn't been filled, covered, or treated in any way. Thanks, everyone, for watching this video till the end. I truly appreciate it. If you like this video, please share it with your friends and family. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel before you go, because subscribing makes sure my videos reach you right away without you having to ask. So, let's move on to something similar. See you again in the next video. Until then, bye and thanks.